Hey folks, Eric Stacklebeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. How will Hezbollah respond? That is the big question today in the wake of Sunday's Israeli Air Force takeout of Hezbollah's second in command, its top military chief. His name was, key word there, was Haitham Ali Tabatabai. He is now no more after the Israeli Air Force struck a building he was in just south of Beirut, in a Hezbollah stronghold. Now, Hezbollah breathing threats of revenge, Israel not budging and saying, hey, we certainly did the right thing. We will not allow Hezbollah to rearm and to grow in strength and to threaten us ever again in the manner in which they once did. The United States approving of this strike as well. What does it say about the region writ large? What are the broader ramifications here? And again, how and when will Hezbollah respond? You got to think eventually there may be some kind of response, but do we have a completely paper tiger, a defanged Hezbollah right now that Israel is facing? A lot to unpack here. And by the way, why did the United States have such a stake in yesterday's strike? Is the region a tinderbox right now? We're going to break it down in a minute. Before I do, quick reminder to subscribe to the Watchman YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Folks, we are fast approaching 1.1 million subscribers. We would love to reach that number by the end of this year. We always like to set goals for ourselves here at the Watchman, so we'd love to hit 1.1 million by the end of this year. You can help us get there, and we'd love to have you here with us shoulder to shoulder as watchmen and women on the wall for such a time as this, so be sure to subscribe. A lot of exciting things happening here on the channel. By the way, if you missed yesterday's live stream, yes, we did a special Sunday live stream. We come to you basically every weekday and sometimes on the weekends as well, depending on the news cycle. Yesterday was a big one. President Trump announcing that he is going to designate the Muslim Brotherhood, the granddaddy of all modern-day Islamic terror groups. President Trump said, yes, I'm going to designate them officially as a foreign terrorist organization. Again, huge news, and I broke this down yesterday on the live stream, so be sure to check that out in our archives in case you missed it. Just under Newscast or videos, they're all right there on the homepage. Okay, let's break this down. The other big story on Sunday, which I feel like was overshadowed a bit by President Trump's announcement about the Muslim Brotherhood. Israel has been warning Hezbollah, not just for weeks, but for many months, to knock off the hijinks, so to speak, in southern Lebanon and the attempts to rearm. Now, remember, it's almost a year ago to the day. It was late November, right around Thanksgiving last year, 2024, that Israel and Hezbollah came to this ceasefire, ending hostilities in southern Lebanon. Now, Hezbollah limped into this ceasefire. I mean, we've documented this, folks, at length here on the news channel. Look, it all really began and went into overdrive in September 2024, September 17th to be exact, when Israel carried out Operation Exploding Pager, the beeper operation against Hezbollah. And that began just an onslaught where the IDF went all in, took out Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, Hezbollah's top overall leader, took out Hezbollah's vaunted Radwan force, its elite military leadership, and then invaded southern Lebanon, pushed Hezbollah all the way back to the Litani River or beyond the Litani River, about 18 miles north of the Israel-Lebanon border. Not only that, rooted out what was just a massive terror hornet's nest throughout southern Lebanon, butting up against the Israeli border, a smashing success in every way for the Israel Defense Forces was that Hezbollah campaign. And in the months prior to it, I would say, folks, look, a great northern war is coming. And everyone, Hezbollah was the 800-pound gorilla, right? No one wanted to cross Hezbollah. It had at least 150,000 rockets and missiles pointed at every inch of Israel. It had tens of thousands of well-trained foot soldiers, committed, fanatical, ideological jihadis. It had a network of terror tunnels leading into Israel. It had plans to invade Israel, much like Hamas did on October 7th. And also it had a pretty fearsome drone capability as well, attack drone. All that said, the thought in Israel was, man, when the day comes that we're going to have to go toe-to-toe with Hezbollah. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be disastrous for everyone, for both sides. It's going to be a massive, massive conflict. Well, it didn't work out quite that way. I'm very happy to say this began really October 8th, 2023, the day after the October 7th massacre carried out by its brothers in Hamas, its fellow Iranian proxy, its fellow Iranian Ring of Fire member. Hezbollah decided to throw its hat in the ring. A fatal mistake. It signed its own death warrant on October 8th, 2023, when unprovoked, unilaterally, it began firing rockets into Israel. For about a year, about 11 months, it was tit for tat. Israel was very focused on Gaza, of course, dealing with Hamas. When it finally turned its full attention to Hezbollah in September 2024, about 11 months after this tit-for-tat stalemate began along the northern border, Israel was all in. Hezbollah was completely shell-shocked. And yes, they proved, the 800-pound gorilla proved to be a paper tiger. And Israel dismantled Hezbollah in short order, to the point, and look, I mentioned the ceasefire has been in effect since November 2024, a solid year. Right around Thanksgiving last year, it went into effect. But in the ensuing year, Israel has continued to carry out airstrikes in Lebanon. It's killed hundreds of Hezbollah jihadis during the ceasefire. And you might say, oh, Israel's breaking the ceasefire. How dare they? No, it's the other way around. Israel is enforcing the ceasefire because Hezbollah is crossing every line that was agreed to last November, in particular, trying to rebuild their ballistic missile stockpiles with help from, you guessed it, their masters in Tehran. And secondly, trying to reestablish their presence in those Shiite villages in southern Lebanon near the Israeli border. Israel says, no way, red line, non-starter, it ain't happening. Never again, Hezbollah, will we allow you to get in a position where you pose an existential threat to the world's one and only Jewish state. And that brings us to the 12-day war. To give you an idea, folks, of how far this has gone, or how much it's unraveled, I should say, for Hezbollah, how low Hezbollah has sunk. The 12-day war, June 2025, Israel and Iran go toe-to-toe. Israel strikes Iran's nuclear facilities. President Trump finishes the job. They destroy Iran's nuclear weapons facilities. Now, the big hesitation, or a big part of it, in the years prior, why didn't Israel do this sooner? And I would argue a top three reason was the blowback, the response that they knew they would get from Hezbollah. Hezbollah was Iran's insurance policy. The Iranian regime could say to Israel, if you dare strike our nuclear weapons facilities, we're holding Hezbollah in reserve. We've been holding Hezbollah in reserve for years, essentially since the Second Lebanon War, way back in 2006, the last time Israel and Hezbollah went toe-to-toe. And in that space of time, in the ensuing 18 years, Hezbollah massively built up their arsenal. But Iran, look, Hezbollah was the crown jewel of Iran's Ring of Fire, its axis, its proxy network. Hamas, Islamic Jihad in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, Assad in Syria, the Shia militias in Iraq, and Hezbollah, again, the crown jewel in southern Lebanon. The only way Iran was going to activate Hezbollah was if and when Israel struck Iran's nuclear weapons facilities. Again, the regime was holding Hezbollah in reserve, and then when the day came that Israel said, we can't wait any longer, we must take out Iran's nuclear program, it's an existential threat, Iran could say, okay, now we unleash Hezbollah. Now the entire Ring of Fire ignites. All of us from every ring surrounding Israel, which, helpful reminder, is the size of the state of New Jersey. We ignite the Ring of Fire. We rain down missiles, rockets, and drones. Well, that never happened because Israel dismantled the Ring of Fire, which is essentially a smoldering heap of ruins right now, in particular Hezbollah. That 12-day war, which I mentioned a minute ago, the nuclear facilities were destroyed. That fateful day came. You did not hear a peep from Hezbollah. I mean, folks, absolutely stunning. If you would have told me a few months before the 12-day war or a year before the 12-day war, hey, Stackelbeck, Israel is going to take out Iran's nuclear facilities, is going to carry out a sustained 12-day bombing campaign above Tehran, the Iranian capital, and you won't hear a peep from Hezbollah, I would have said you're crazy. No way. There's no possibility. This is why Hezbollah exists. And yet, Israel weakened Hezbollah and established such deterrent force that Hezbollah did not dare get involved in the 12-day war, even as its patron, its masters in Tehran, were being walloped and their nuclear facilities were being destroyed. Hey, praise the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Praise the God of Israel. That is amazing that we are at this point right now, which brings us to Haitham Ali Tabatabai. And look, he's a guy not only second in command for Hezbollah and top military chief. He was in charge of the rearmament campaign, getting the arms from Iran and rebuilding the ballistic missile stockpiles. And Israel was losing patience, in particular with the Lebanese government, which is supposed to disarm Hezbollah, but hasn't shown the will to do so. The Lebanese federal government. Hezbollah, of course, has established a government within a government, essentially, over the past few decades. But the rearmament efforts, Israel said, we can't have this. Again, we're going to send a message to Hezbollah, to its masters in Iran, to Hamas in Gaza, that we're not playing games. In case they haven't gotten the memo yet, we are not playing games. And by the way, the U.S. applauded this, and I wonder why. Tabatabai had a $5 million bounty on his head from the United States as well. So this is a bad actor with American and Israeli blood on his hands, stretching back decades, who directed Hezbollah terror operations. He was a very big fish. And now, what's the response look like? Israel is on high alert. You see the title of this newscast today. They're on high alert, but how will they respond, Hezbollah? Can they respond? Look, if they didn't respond during the 12-day war when Iran's nuclear facilities were being destroyed, are they going to respond now? Do they have the bandwidth? Times of Israel reports that security officials say that Hezbollah top leader Naim Qassem, he's the top overall leader, is at a crossroads over how to respond to Israel following Sunday's strike that killed the group's military chief. Sources close to Hezbollah reportedly say the organization currently lacks the capability to launch a significant response, though they warn that the next conflict with Israel is only a matter of time. I think that's a correct assessment. Look, I would not be surprised, and God forbid, in the next 24 to 48 hours, a volley of rockets comes out of Lebanon into northern Israel. Hezbollah's down, but they're not out. They still have a large arsenal of rockets, missiles, and drones. Remember that. But they are down. Let's face it, folks. I think the larger picture here, what does Iran do? Does Iran demand that Hezbollah respond? And when we talk about things being only a matter of time before they ramp up again, I think it's broader. I think it's two fronts. It's Lebanon and Iran itself, because Iran also is trying to rearm. You guessed it, building up that ballistic missile stockpile with help from, drum roll please, communist China. I know you're shocked. That gathering storm coalition we've talked about so much here, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, very much still a thing. And evil is relentless. A closing thought here. Of course, Hezbollah and Iran are rearming because they are demonically evil. And the only way you defeat that kind of evil is to utterly crush it. That hasn't happened yet. They're down, but they're not out. So fasten your seatbelts. We may see another round in the world's most volatile and strategic region, the Middle East. And we will be here, of course, with all the updates for you here on the channel and from a biblical perspective. Imagine that. Thanks for joining us. God bless you. Until next time, remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.